NXT, the Great American Bash 2022 is taking place this Tuesday on the 5th of July. It is, of course, a yearly tradition now with NXT. It's great to see a good excuse to enjoy some apple pie, get the barbecue going, have some hot dogs. And I've got to tell you what, I've got two friends from the other side of the Atlantic, from the United States, that are going to be joining me from their show, NXT. And of course, I've got a little teacup for you as well. For the first time on the channel properly, we've got Astrid, Pizarro and Ed Fries joining us. How are you both doing? It's great to have you on. Astrid, we'll start with you.
Yeah, doing good. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for inviting us.
It's really good to have you in. Ed, how are you doing on this Friday?
I'm doing good. Work week's over. I get to kind of relax. I got money in the prediction stuff I got to do tomorrow. Just gotta relax and get everything going.
Absolutely, sounds good. Like you said, we've got a big weekend ahead of Money in the Bank as well. Of course, those predictions are available on my channel for those. But stick around with us. We've got NXT, Great American Bash. We've got a lot to dive into. We've got 6 matches for sure, potentially 8. If you look at Wikipedia, we'll be discussing everything today. So make sure to get involved. Get involved with the chat as well. We've already got Tino Type in the house. He says, let's go. What's up, everyone? Hope you're doing well. Tino's time as well. Of course, he will be doing a live stream later on for SmackDown as well. And we've also got our first question already. Coral Kirshner, I hope I figured that correct. If I haven't, I do apologize. Are we likely for Toxic to win? We'll be discussing that in match number 1 when we do so. But first off, I want to just get to everyone to know a little bit about Astrid and Ed for those that don't know already, because they do some fantastic work in our wrestling community. So Astrid, tell everyone a little bit about yourself for those who may not know.
Well, I'm part of the group for More Than Anything Would Love Wrestling CA. So I do NXT on Tuesdays, and I talk about AEW on Wednesdays, and sometimes on the weekends whenever we come up with officially like my first my major thing is that I have a series of interviews called Astrid Asks. It's just mostly focusing on females in the wrestling community, whether they're content creators, wrestlers, managers. So I just like to interview women about being in the male-dominated industry such as wrestling.
Absolutely. You had a fantastic interview with Ella J recently as well. It's been on the channel a few times before, and I highly recommend everyone to go and support and check that out. As well as you, Ed Fries, tell everybody about yourself.
Mostly I do the same thing with Love Wrestling CA. I'm Astrid's co-host on NXT, where we go ahead every week and we talk about NXT. That show is part of a double feature with our Power Out team, which includes Ella J and our friend Zach, who go ahead and talk about Power Out. Sometimes we're first, sometimes they're first. And then every month, me and Chris Parrish have been doing, for the last couple months, a prediction show, going ahead and predicting all the WWE pay-per-views.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic stuff indeed. And also, you do also keep an eye on Tom Collihue's work as well, don't you, on his channels?
I do. I moderate his Twitch and YouTube communities. So
absolutely, yeah. So very busy people in our wrestling community. Great minds as well, great knowledge. So we have to say, before we go into our first match, excitement levels for Great American Bash. Ed, I'll start with you. What's your score out of 10? How excited are you for Tuesday?
About a 7.5, 8. I mean, for a show that popped up on us real quick, they loaded this thing with matches I want to see.
They really have indeed there. Nash, did you feel the same?
Yeah, I feel probably a 9 for me. I know, like, for Lisa, like, the ladies' matches are always my favorites to watch. And obviously, like, Ed has called me Wendy Choo on several occasions because I like to nap before we do NXT. So I'm always looking forward to watching her more than anything. But yeah, the card is really stacked. I really am looking forward to it.
Yeah, I've got to say, I feel kind of the same as you both. Obviously, that this show here that we're going to see on Tuesday, there's 4 championship matches that have been announced, and that's a big-time deal in itself. We've got some other matches being announced for the card. There's speculation that Apollo could be on this show as well. He's a big-time recruit if you want for NXT. He can do a lot more down there than he was ever doing for Raw and SmackDown in the last 12 months. So it's great to see him back on board. So without further ado, I think what we should do is we should go into our first match, because like we say, there are plenty of matches to be talking about. You mentioned, Astrid, how you love talking about women's wrestling. Well, let's talk about the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. The question has already been asked for us, because Toxic Attraction are going to be defending those championships against the good friends of Cora, Jade and Roxanne Perez. Now, obviously, Roxanne Perez, of course, Roxy, she was the Ring of Honor Women's World Champion not so long ago before signing with NXT and WWE. Cora Jade been a standout in War Games last year. Toxic Attraction, on the other hand, have been a dominant tag team force, hold those championships on 2 separate occasions now, but all in all, they've had a long reign with those championship titles. Is it time for a change of the guard? How have you found the build? And Astrid, are you seeing new champions here?
My wish is yes. I don't know if it'll happen, but I'm always wishing for Roxy to be champion, and I think Cora should have a championship run, you know, to see how she goes, to give her like a trial run somehow with a championship. And yeah, I want to see new champions. I'm ready for new people to shine. And I think having them as baby faces, we could have more heel teams come up and challenge them. So that will give us something a little bit different to what's going on with Toxic Attraction at the moment. So that's why I'm really looking forward to it more than anything. I just want something new and fresh with the tag team division.
I think it's a fantastic point you make there, because like you said, like, I feel like outside of Toxic Attraction themselves, there's no real heel teams at the minute. So, you know, it's a change of the guard that would really mix things up. And it actually leads to, before I go into Ed here with a question as well, I believe it's Katana Chance, since the name changed, both Casey Caranzaro and Caden Carter. They got a little bit grumpy, let's say, losing that #1 contenders match last week. Is there a chance that maybe they could cost Perez and Cora Jade in this match and perhaps turn heel in the process? Or would there be good challengers for the champions, whoever they may be, after this match?
I wouldn't mind seeing them turn heel, just because it'll be something different and fresh for them. It'll give them something different to do, and it will be a learning experience for them as well. And who knows, you know, maybe it'll be easy to boot them, especially when you put them against Cora and Roxanne, of all people.
Absolutely did that. Ed, what's your thoughts about this match?
I have similar thoughts. I love this match. I'm very excited. Toxic Attraction is, as any of the NXT viewers will know, one of my favorite things on NXT, along with Mandy Rose and Nikita Lyons. But that being said, this tag match is really fun. These teams are really going to put on a good show. I see Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez taking the win here, and I do exactly along that same line. Think that as soon as they do, they're going to go ahead and step up with Katana Chance and Caden Carter again, KC Squared as we call them on NXT. And I think KC Squared immediately win those tag titles. I don't think Cora Jade and Roxanne hold on to these titles long, because I think Roxanne is going to immediately continue getting into a program with Mandy Rose by cashing in that contract sooner rather than later.
That's a fantastic point. She has that contract. She's not used it for this match either, which makes it really exciting as well. Just to put in a bit of my 2 cents here of what I kind of feel with this as well, where I think it would make sense for brand new champions here, because I'm a big fan of Toxic Attraction. I'm going to say that I think they're ready for Raw and SmackDown when they get to the next draft. But I also like this story they've got here with Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez. Best friends, they've traveled the road together, worked their way through to get to NXT. It's almost perfect for, at some point, to have a Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa-like story with these two. The breakup is going to be, you know, it's going to hurt. It's going to make a fan invested. And what better way to do it than to give you something to really cheer about first? Some of the same as well with RK Bro. Expect that breakup at some point. It will hurt when it comes, but you need a reason to get behind them as the duo first. They need to become the tag team champions, in my opinion. Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez, I think, will take the W here. Do you think that we could see a long-term breakup with these, Ed, at some point?
Yeah, I mean, me and Astrid have mentioned it a couple times on NXT that while this NXT women's division, while they don't have a ton of experience, they have a lot of talent down there. The one thing they don't have is a lot of heel talent down there. Once you get past Toxic Attraction, and you get to Elektra Lopez, you get to Lash Legend, you get to maybe Indy Hartwell's turning heel soon. You don't have it in Tiffany Straton, who we'll talk about in a little while. But other than that, you don't have a lot of real legitimate heels. So for a Roxanne Perez to win the championship, or, for them to win the tag championships, you don't have any established heels. So you're going to need to start bringing in teams, bringing in competitors. And at that point, you start running into a problem. So I think that there needs to be a heel turn at some point, whether it be Indy Hartwell, Cora Jade, or both Indy and Cora.
Interesting thought there. Astrid, would you say that Cora Jade would be the better fit long-term than to be the heel of her and Perez?
I think so. I feel like Roxanne has been so loved since she arrived in NXT, because I don't see her being a heel in any sort of way. So I think whoever goes against her will kind of be automatically the heel-ish in that situation, if anything. And I think more that it sounds interesting to be thinking like Cora and Roxanne are facing each other for a women's championship later on too. But to me, whoever goes against Roxanne goes automatically into the heel category for me, because she's such a lovable babyface already.
I have to agree with you there. I think she's a very lovable babyface, and I think she fits that role so perfectly. So, yeah, I agree. Cora Jade would be the perfect one of those. But then, final prediction, final word on this then before we move on. Are we all agreeing then, Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez, your next NXT Women's Tag Team Champions?
Yeah.
Definitely.
It seems like it's a full house here. Comments, let us know if you agree with us or not. But in the meantime, we will move on and we will talk about the next match on the show. And we're going to keep things championship here because it's the Great American Bash. What better than the North American Championship? And I tell you what, Carmelo Hayes against Grayson Waller, for me, I'm really excited about this match. I find it hilarious the way it was pulled around. The signing of the merchandise. Grayson Waller, he's a top guy, isn't he? Oh, maybe not so. He signed something he shouldn't have done. He's given himself away a championship opportunity. Ed Fries, what are your thoughts about this match?
I love this. This is the match I think that's going to steal the show. Hayes and Waller are going to have a great chemistry in the ring. I love the idea of two heels and one heel outsmarting the other heel, because it's so often that we see this as, like, oh, I can be worse than you. And it's like, no. He was trying to be nice and he managed to sneak it in there and get it in there. And Carmelo's like, I'll remember that. I'll remember that for next time. And it's a nice way to build a match when out of necessity, because Tony D'Angelo gets hurt. So you can't keep pushing that storyline. So you have to figure something else out. And in a week's time, they're like, all right, cool. Grayson Waller and Carmelo Hayes. But this is going to be a fantastic in-ring match. I can't wait for this.
Absolutely. I have to agree with you. I mean, if you look at these two in particular, like Carmelo Hayes, for me, one of the standouts of the entire NXT 2.0, I think he's got like a swagger about him. He's got something about him that just makes him stand out head and shoulders above a lot of the other talents. He's ready for Raw and SmackDown now. Grayson Waller, he was so hot when it came to War Games. I always had that feud with AJ Styles, LA Knight, or should I say Max Dupree now? I don't know. But at the same time, you look and say, he's probably caught off a little bit, probably since WrestleMania Weekend Stand and Deliver. Now this is an opportunity for him to break out again. Astrid, what are your thoughts of this match? I like the way it was put together. Are you excited for it?
Yeah, I'm always excited to watch Carmelo wrestle anyway, and I think it was a different way of bringing up this title match more than anything. It was something simple, but it was different at the same time for me, and I liked how they brought it up on TV more than anything. I thought it was fun, and I love having, like I was saying, having two heels with each other, because at the same time, when you think about it, Carmelo is also loved so much by the audience that he's going to turn him out, kind of be like that baby face in that situation in this match, even though he's still a heel at the end of the day. But yeah, I'm always excited to watch him wrestle, and he may have Trick by his side, and then Grayson, the way he is already, he's really entertaining, so I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. But this is a big question now, because Trick Williams obviously will be competing, which we'll be talking about very shortly as well. Is he actually going to be at ringside? And is that a smart ploy here that's been used by Grayson Waller to make sure that this is the right time to get a match with Carmelo Hayes?
I mean, yeah, I definitely think it comes down to match order. If Trick Williams' match is that cool-off match between, maybe the women's tag team title match or the tag team title match and the NXT Championship match, I could see them throwing Wes Lee and Trick Williams in that semi-main to kind of bring the crowd down to get them back up and ready. But yeah, it all depends on match order. I think Trick will be out there no matter what, because I could see Trick Williams being the kind of guy who's out there in a neck brace and in a shoulder, in a shoulder sling. Like if Wes Lee really beats him up, I could totally see Trick pulling all those little, heel shenanigans, and it's a brace or a shoulder thing or a neck. Yeah, Trick is out there regardless, I think.
Trick is amazing. I enjoy his work, especially as the cameo sidekick of Carmelo. I think he does a great job. One other question. I'm going to throw this to you, Astrid, if you don't mind. Obviously, Solo Sikoa is a name that comes to many people's minds when they think about the long-term future of the North American. It's like to me that this match becomes a lot less predictable. The fact we've got two heels fighting and Solo Sikoa probably waiting at the other side.
Sorry, you froze for a second. I couldn't hear the question completely.
I'm very sorry. I have a habit of doing that occasionally. I don't mean to do that when it does happen. But I was just saying there, the idea that Solo Sikoa is a name that crops up a lot with the long-term future of the North American Championship. With the fact that we have two heels now in this match, does it feel like that we could be getting a less obvious winner? The fact we've got two heels rather than a babyface and a heel, and the winner will take on Solo Sikoa later down the line.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting because if you think about it, it goes back to that point of, like Solo said, I was supposed to have the next title match. And then that when Carmelo goes, no, that's what the other champion promised you. That's not what I promised you. So it'll be interesting to see if it goes back to that. It's like, okay, you had Grayson now. Now it should be my turn if it goes that way, that Carmelo stays with the championship. But it being like, let's say, for example, if we had a situation that Grayson wins, we get something different altogether because he wasn't part of that storyline. So it'll be interesting to see how they play it out. But I think to me, it's more interesting seeing Carmelo with Solo and going back to that point. It's like, you didn't promise it to me, but I think I should be next in line by now because you face Grayson. Who else is going to be your next challenger?
Interesting. Yeah, it's interesting indeed there. Well, let's go to predictions for this one then. Ed, if there's anything you'd like to add, and then your prediction for Carmelo versus Grayson Waller.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to add. This is going to be great. I like the idea of whoever wins this is somebody who Solo Sikoa can be like, look, you and me have beef. So he's obviously next in line for whoever it is, because he just had that match with Grayson Waller a couple of weeks ago on NXTV. That being said, I think Carmelo Hayes wins this one.
Yeah, I definitely don't see Grayson winning this match. I think it definitely goes back to, and it'll stay with Carmelo, and then it'll be Carmelo and so on next.
Fair enough there. I tell you what, it is going to be all of us picking the same again. We're not got opposites yet. I'm going for Carmelo Hayes as well to retain the championship. But we mentioned Trick Williams. Let's talk about him next. He'll be taking on Wes Lee. Of course, Wes Lee poured his heart out to everybody, and Trick Williams came out and ruined the moment. It was pretty much all the talk of Nash Carter without naming Nash Carter. And obviously, we're building towards a match here. Wes Lee looking for this new turn in his career to actually become a single star. We mentioned who could be next for that North American Championship. Maybe Wes Lee could be one in the TV match. This could be certainly a stepping stone. What do you reckon, Ed?
I do. I wholeheartedly do. The one thing I love about this program, and I've mentioned it a couple of times on NXT, because this is my sleeper match of the weekend right here, of the entire weekend. This show, Money in the Bank, I think this has the potential to be one of the best matches of the entire thing. But I love when Trick came down, he made fun a little bit about Wes Lee getting teary-eyed and starting to cry, but he didn't call him out for being a crybaby, which is something you would typically see in WWE. Like when Big Show started crying, it was instantly crybaby jokes and this, that, and the other thing. In this one, it was a quick jab about him being emotional and him being crying, and then back onto the content of what was making him emotional, that he was a bad friend. Maybe it's his fault that his friend isn't here. Why didn't you leave when your friend did? You know, making Wes feel like he could be the bad guy in all of this. I absolutely loved Trick's portion of it as much as I loved Wes Lee's, because they're giving him an opportunity to be a new man, even though they could have just tried to find him a new tag team partner and pushed him back into the tag team division.
And you know what? You make some fabulous points there. I literally don't know what else I can add to that, really, but I agree with you wholeheartedly. Actually, what are your thoughts here about Wes Lee and Trick Williams and that sort of build that we've had here?
I think this is definitely one of those matches that it's going to surprise a lot of people, because Wes is always doing incredible performances, and Trick is just learning from Carmelo, watching him every single week and training. So it'll be nice to see Trick be able to showcase that. We don't get to see that often from him. And I think, like you said, maybe it'll kind of put Wes Lee to the North American Championship. I wouldn't mind seeing Carmelo versus Wes Lee coming up soon after Solo, perhaps. And it'll be something interesting to come up later. And I think Wes Lee is somebody that could really should be catapulted and do more than what he's doing in NXT at the moment.
Absolutely, indeed. There, I mean, everyone has played their part so well in this, and I mean, Trick Williams. I mean, as well, like we said, this is a chance for him to be a bit of a standout as well, have his sort of breakout moments here. But I do see him taking the L in this match. I think Wes Lee is going to pick up the W. Astrid, what are your prediction for this one?
Yeah, I'm definitely going with Wes Lee.
Yeah, Wes Lee out the way.
Yes, we probably won't all agree on every match, everybody that's watching this, but so far, you could say that we're keeping it smart on this one, but we'll quickly pop into the comment section. We've got Southern Pro Wrestling joining us, saying Wes Lee, aka Desmond Xavier, of course, back in his independent days. Hopefully, it'll be a single star. Matches against Santos Escobar in the North American title picture would be must see. That would be a fantastic match to see.
Yeah, I mean, there's the North American title picture in NXT is so loaded. Like, we've tried to run it down a few times, and every time we do it, we get to about 10 people, and then we start remembering more people. This division, this mid-card, mid-level division, is so full of talent.
It is. It's unbelievable how much they've got there. I can definitely see a few of them names perhaps going up to Raw and SmackDown at some point in the near future. Obviously, we mentioned there potentially the likes of Carmelo Hayes being a standout amongst there. But yeah, I mean, there is so many. I mean, Nathan Frazier, of course, from the UK. Nathan Frazier's work so far?
I have. I mean, Nathan Frazier's been a breath of fresh air. Ash, I'm going to leave Ashley to tell you who she wants to see come back for the NXT UK crew. But yeah, Nathan Frazier's been a breath of fresh air. I didn't watch a lot of NXT UK, so it was a bit of a new guy for me to see. But dude is ultra talented. He can cut a decent promo too, which is nice, because not all of the UK talent that we've seen come over have been ready to cut really good promos. and he did a really good a couple of them. So I'm really excited to see more of him.
So
yeah,
true.
I've been loving him too. And another one that the one that Ed has been talking about is A Kid. I've been enjoying him so much as Nathan went since he came into NXT, and all of a sudden he just disappeared, and that's it. Nothing else happened with him. I was disappointed in that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully they'll find ways to get them to break up further. Obviously, we've got Jordan Devlin on the way up as well with a name change coming up there, which escapes me. It's JD Donahue or something like that.
McDougal, McDonough, something like that.
It will catch on. It will catch on.
Eventually, it's just going to be JD, which is still Jordan Devlin, so it's not the end of the world.
I'll be thinking of Scrubs myself personally from back in the day, but that's a good old noughties reference for you there. Southern Pro also goes on to say Underground Temple sent me over. How we go as well. Apollo Crews in NXT is a great move and has potential. Would love him to join Roderick Strong and feud against Diamond Mine. Interesting philosophy there. What do we reckon?
The Diamond Mine stuff is super interesting. I'm not sure where it's headed. I like it as a way to get Damon Kemp over and get him some in-ring time with guys who they trust as in-ring talents, with a guy like Roddy speaking for him. Apollo Crews has so many different things that he can do in this NXT, whether it be taking on a Bron Breakker or a Cameron Grimes, whether it be working with younger guys like Solo Sikoa, Grayson Waller. I mean, there's no limit to what he can do down here. And the name value alone is just worth so much.
Completely agree. Astrid, would you feel the same?
Yeah, just thinking like there's so many possibilities for Apollo down here when they have so much talent in NXT at the moment. I don't care who he goes with next time because it'll be interesting to see either way. And then I never thought about somebody like Roddy or even just Diamond Mine as a whole with versus Apollo. That would be incredible to watch.
It certainly would indeed. There, we mentioned Apollo Crews, and obviously this is via Wikipedia, so take it with a pinch of salt, everybody. We could be getting Apollo Crews without Commander Aziz if you watch it on Wikipedia against Zion Quinn. Now, Zion Quinn, of course, made his big "I'm the sports entertainer. Look at me, how I am." He can also do "Sexy Boy" on karaoke, but for me, I'm not sure at the moment I'm connecting as much with the Zion Quinn character, I've got to be honest. But hey, that's what NXT is for. It's about getting to the next level. The experience Zion Quinn could get wrestling with the likes of Apollo Crews in the ring, it would be incredible for him. But I imagine this would be a win for Apollo should it happen. Astrid, would you feel the same?
Yeah, we were talking about that this week on NXT, how for Zion, I feel like he doesn't have a focus at the moment. There's no direction for him. And every time he's in a match, it's just one match and he loses, and that's been it. I liked it better when he was involved with Legado del Fantasma because at least we had something for him to do, and it was getting interesting. They would just kind of cut abruptly for me, at least. So just I don't like the way his character has been recently. I feel like they could do so much better with him. So I definitely feel like Paul is going to get this win because it's more established. It has more direction than Zion does at the moment.
Absolutely, indeed. Ed, and what would be your thoughts on Zion Quinn, the situation with his booking of late in NXT?
Yeah, much like Astrid, we have similar thoughts on it. That Zion had all the potential in the world with that with the Robert Stone stuff where, he was singing Sexy Boy on karaoke and how entertaining that was. And then he moves into this high-level feud with Legado when Santos was at the height of his Legado stuff. And then he disappears for a little while, and it's like, okay, no big deal. And then he comes back, and it's just loss after loss after loss, seemingly. And he's just floundering. And I'm going to go out on a limb. If this match happens, I want to see Zion Quinn win this match.
Oh,
I think Apollo can eat a loss here. I don't think he needs to win. I think they're going to book him to win, but I would love to see Apollo just take a loss. I think he's still got enough time to rebound from that with any one win against anybody to put himself back in the world title contention.
That could actually put a really good story out as well, because Apollo would be like, I come back to prove a point here, but have I lost my way? I lost my way on Raw and SmackDown, but to come here and still have lost my way, that could be an interesting teaser of a storyline, Ed. Would you like to see that play out?
Yeah, I mean, his journaling, there's so much room for him to, rebound and be on a path to getting somewhere with all of the journaling he's doing and trying to channel a new path. That with these vignettes they've been shooting for him, that he could eat 1 or 2 losses on this way to this new direction before he ends up getting the wins and stuff. Yeah, I could see that. That'd be fun. It'd be different.
And we like to see different, don't we, Astrid?
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm sticking to Apollo though, because I want him to keep going with that direction he's going. But I'm hoping maybe this will lead to something more for Zion going forward in his booking in NXT.
We'll have to wait and see. Yeah, I'm sticking as well with Apollo. I don't see that changing, but I think we all go with Apollo. But I can see Ed's will for Zion to get that direction and give a direction as well for Apollo as well. Jonesy's in the house. Hope you're doing well, Jonesy. Thank you for checking out the stream. He says, I hope we get some new NXT stars in front row like old times. I can't imagine for the Great American Bash, but do you know what? It would be fun to see like a face here and there, but we don't tend to get the indie stars anymore. I imagine we're going to get a fresh face. It's someone that pops through that's sort of been in the performance center for a long time. Ed, is there anyone that maybe we could perhaps see on our NXT screens that we haven't seen at all of late? Maybe someone like JD could turn up on Tuesday.
Somebody like JD, but NXT just signed a very interesting talent that Astrid pointed out to me because I hadn't seen it yet. But Valerie Lorda from the UFC world has just announced that she's the first Cuban American woman to sign with WWE. And I would love to see her sitting in the front row, even if they don't put her on TV right away, like in matches and stuff. It might be nice to put her out there and just get a fresh face out there, especially on USA.
Absolutely, yeah. Astrid, can you tell us more about her, if you know more?
No, I just saw that she posted that she had signed, so I thought it was interesting, and especially being Latina myself, I just like to see Latinas come up and have a platform like the way she's probably going to have in NXT, and it's nice to see diversity as well. Being the first Cuban American, it's nice to see something different as well. It happened to me, like I've told that before, being Puerto Rican. I never had anybody Puerto Rican on screen before, and suddenly I see so many going from like Zelina Vega to Proud and Powerful in AEW. So little by little, start coming up. So it's interesting to see that. So that's why it's nice to see somebody like her that's Cuban American. Maybe more Cubans will come up to the forefront after that. Who knows? But it'll be interesting to see somebody different with a different background as well.
Absolutely, indeed. There, yeah. No, it would be great to see. I'm looking forward to seeing what she does bring to the table. Certainly exciting stuff. Then, Jones, you might get your wish. Then someone might be sitting in that front row there, and also wondering if Triple H appears. That would be interesting if Triple H was to come back.
At least he's back in the backstage area, which is a help all to its own.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, yeah. We like Triple H. It's probably the best way to put it. Southern Pro also saying Tyler Bate versus Trent Seven on in NXT UK. That feud has Gargano versus Ciampa potential. It certainly does. I haven't seen anything of it yet, but certainly would be something I would be interested in checking out there with the Mustache Mountain as well. Is there anything you'd like to add on that, guys?
I mean, it has all the potential in the world, but if you're putting it on NXT UK, where only people who are watching NXT UK are going to see it, it's not going to have the same effect that it had at a takeover. But I would love for it to be, because the storyline has the potential, but having it happen in NXT UK where so few people watch it, it's not going to gain any traction, unfortunately.
I have to agree there. Astrid, do you feel the same?
Yeah, it makes me think back of takeovers, because this is the type of match you would like to see in a takeover pay-per-view or event, if you want to call it. So it just makes me miss those days when we had those important matches in takeover more than anything. So it makes me wish we had a takeover at the moment to put that match in there somehow.
Yeah, that would be really cool, wouldn't it, to do that? Because you get those NXT matches sometimes over Ilya Dragunov and Volta. I'm going with Volta, damn it. Those were incredible matches, and so I totally get where you're coming from, and it would be fun to see. And we've got another suggestion for the front row. The Rock's daughter, Simone Johnson.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, she's out injured right now from training, but yeah, it's very possible that we could see. She had a new name change recently. I forget what it is. But she did have a new name change recently.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be interesting. Yeah, interesting with the name changes. You'd think with her, you'd want to keep that there for the name with being linked to Rocky, but I guess not is not the case. But fun to speculate. We'll see how it's going to play along. But I'll tell you what we'll do in the meantime. Keep your comments coming in. But we're going to go to another match, and we had mention of course, Diamond Mine just recently. So let's talk next then about the NXT Tag Team Championships. The Creed brothers will be defending against Roderick Strong and Damon Kemp. Roderick Strong has been a funny one of late, hasn't he? He's not been happy for the success of the Creed brothers. Jealousy is definitely creeping in, to say the very least. As I'm going to say it one more time, so I think I froze. Jealousy is creeping in there with Roddy Strong at this particular moment. Damon Kemp, new to the scene, if I'm not mistaken, he's related to Gable Steveson as well.
Yeah, younger brother. Yeah, he is the younger brother for Gable Steveson.
He is indeed, yeah. And I've not seen so much of him in ring at the moment, but certainly as this dynamic, I think it could be a lot of fun. Could we get the breakup here of Diamond Mine, Astrid?
I kind of hope so in a way because I want the Creeds to have more of a spotlight, and this is only gonna be happening for so long. After that, it will get old. Plus, I see like Damon just teaming up with Roddy more than anything, and kind of Ivy picking like the Creed side more than anybody in this situation. But yeah, I would like to have them kind of separated and just have the Creeds show up like what they've done so far in the last couple matches they had, and just keep going that way.
They've done really well. It's just like the babyface, that turn, how they've just been. They've really got over the NXT crown. It's been really fun to see. Ed, what's been your thoughts with the Creed brothers and Diamond Mine of recent?
So the Creed brothers have really surprised me because I didn't feel like they had any personality. I didn't feel like they had any charisma in the beginning when they were watching them wrestle their first few matches. But they got with the Diamond Mine and they started to get better and I was enjoying them. And then something between the three of them, with Ivy Niles sitting out there with them, not having to do anything, just being Ivy Nile and being cool as she can be, just gave them something. And then Roderick Strong just being this weird, jealous dude who's like, no, your success is my success. It's all because of me. And I'm the tag team guy, and I'm the guy from the Undisputed Era, but we're not going to talk about that name because we don't want to talk about that name because they're all in the other company. It's
Absolutely.
just it's just fantastic. It's been such a great build. And literally a babyface turn, like you said, with no prompting. They did nothing to become baby faces. The crowd just literally started latching onto them like, we like you. We're taking you.
Certainly indeed there. So will they continue to take them as NXT Tag Team Champions, Astrid? Or will Roddy Strong and Damon Kemp find a way to get those championships away on Tuesday?
Oh no, I'm sticking to the Creeds on this one. I don't want Roddy and Damon to get those championships just yet. I just want the Creeds to keep it on. I feel they've done really well with them, so I really don't want that to add at the time being. Just give them a little bit more time with those championships.
I have to agree. I mean, they've not long had those belts. I think they could be arguably one of the best teams ever with the NXT Tag Team titles if they're given time and given a run. I expect them to pick up the victory, and then I expect Roddy Strong to really turn on them afterwards. I think the beatdown happens. I think that's where the breakup of Dynamite really kicks in. Ed, what's your thoughts on this?
I will echo both of your thoughts, but especially yours with the beatdown coming right after this match. I think there's going to be a third member that Roddy's going to introduce us to join with Damon Kemp. I think there's going to be some kind of a veteran name that's coming in because I don't think Roddy's going to stay as a tag team guy for very long. But I definitely see the Creed brothers holding on to their titles.
I love the idea. Can you speculate a name for me, or are we going to just have to wait till Tuesday?
I can't think of a name, but it's just one of those things where, like, there's got to be somebody. There's got to be somebody out there that they can bring in that's not doing anything right now that can fit that mold.
Interesting.
Maybe
they bring
Gable down. Maybe they bring Gable down.
Yeah, he would be great.
I know they've promised him to Raw, and I know he has issues with wrestling with his amateur status right now, which is the reason why he's not wrestling while his brother is. Maybe Gable comes down just to stick his nose in it.
I'd love it. I think he'd be a very good fit. He would really, really well. Astrid, anyone you'd like to see from somewhere just to come in and aid Roddy going forward at the moment?
I don't have like a name in particular, but I think it would be nice to see perhaps somebody from the main roster who doesn't have a lot going on, to bring them down and insert them here somehow and just get them a little spotlight for the time being, just like kind of like we're doing with Apollo at the moment. But yeah, just have somebody who doesn't have much going on that could use a little time in NXT as well and help out the names of the Creed brothers, for example.
Certainly. One name that Southern Pro mentioned, I brought up as a comment, was Tozawa. I think Tozawa could be a good fit.
Yeah. I love Tozawa. I think that dude is ultra talented.
He's never been used the way he should have been. Apart from his early days in the 205 Live stuff, he's great technical wrestler, great striking ability, but unfortunately just never had the rub of the green, unfortunately, in WWE. Now they've had him dressed up with this character for the last little bit, chasing the 24/7 championship. He's never really had anything go on since, but it'll be interesting to see how it'll play out. But I think we all agree that the Creed brothers will be retaining.
Yeah.
We do indeed. Well, Ed has actually clarified, by the way, Ava Raine is the name for Simone Johnson. So just in case anyone was wondering the name for you there. And Southern Pro also says can see Roddy Strong leaving for AEW soon. If reports are to be believed, he certainly asked for it. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. As soon as that contract expires, he's on his way out the door. I don't think he's signing. I mean, his wife is working with them. His friends are all working with them. if AEW wants him, he's certainly got a contract there. So.
Certainly indeed there. Certainly indeed there. Also been asked if Grayson Waller is booked. Yes, he is. We've discussed about him already against Carmelo Hayes. You would unfortunately have to go a little bit further back in the video to get that at this particular moment. But also, Jonesy has asked as well, slightly off topic, but we'll go with it anyway, if we can get your Money in the Bank match winner predictions. So, Astrid, I'll go with you first for the men and the women.
I don't, not that I want this person, just thinking that this is the route that he's gonna go most likely. I feel like for the ladies, probably gonna be Lacey. I'm hoping for Liv, but it's probably gonna be Lacey for them. And for the guys, there's still one person that's missing, so who knows? But I feel like I want it to be more than anybody, Seth Rollins, and kind of go back to what happened in 2014 and just give him a title run as well. I think he's earned it. He's had that time that he's been up the title picture, and to see his character being champion at the moment, that'll be interesting to see.
It'll be interesting. Ed, what are your picks?
I have for the men, I have a wild one and I have a more realistic one. Seth Rollins for the men's, with the potential. There's the last time we had an unnamed competitor in a Money in the Bank ladder match. We got a Brock Party. I want Brock Party too. I'd love to see face Brock Lesnar win the Money in the Bank again. And then that being said, Liv Morgan for the women.
I would love Liv Morgan to win it. I've gone for the same as Southern Pro Wrestling. I've gone with the power couple, Seth and Becky. They've been the picks there for us. I have a feeling that Becky will either cash in on Ronda or she'll be the first one to not successfully cash in for the women. We'll have to wait and see how it will play. But that's our quick picks there for you, Jonesy. If you want to know the rest of my predictions, then the video is available for you now. But in the meantime, we will be talking about another match on the card. Wendy Choo against Tiffany Straton. Now, I tell you what, Wendy Choo, of course, she does have a bit of a snooze, doesn't she? But she's certainly got her wacky gimmick going on with super soakers and all sorts getting involved. But Tiffany Straton, for me, I'm definitely broken up. There we go. She's Wendy Choo. She's definitely been someone that's been a standout character. Tiffany Straton, for me, has been one of the most improved in-ring wrestlers for me personally when it comes to NXT in the last sort of recent weeks and months. Astrid, what's been your thoughts with the build of this match, and are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, I like the build for it because I know more than anything, it's been giving us more Tiffany. Tiffany has been improving a lot, and she's been able to showcase that on a weekly basis more than anything. And I love Wendy Choo. I'm Wendy Choo basically in real life, so I cannot say anything bad about her. But no, I love how different her characters are. She has a good range when it comes to her characters. We have from Meijing to this. It's just incredible to see how different everything is with her. But it's been fun watching her on screen because she's different from what they've been doing with the other ladies in NXT. But I definitely feel like it's going to be more Tiffany going with the victory on this one because she's the one that I think that they're showcasing more and the one that's getting that push in the women's division as well.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that because obviously with Tiffany Straton, she kind of found a way into the breakout tournament and now she's sort of outside of it, was in the final. Now she's got another program with Wendy Choo. It's a good opportunity to build a heel that's behind Mandy Rose for when she eventually loses that championship. Ed, what are your thoughts on Wendy Choo versus Tiffany Straton?
Yeah, Wendy Choo is a character that a lot of people can't get behind, but I love the idea of having, everybody likes Orange Cassidy, and she's essentially men's Orange Cassidy. But the difference is like the sleeping gimmick really only pertains to like outside of the ring. Inside the ring, she's not pulling it as much. Like she did once in a tag match, but other than that, she's not doing that. So I really enjoy that idea. But Tiffany Straton has grown on me so much with the potential she has. She's got athleticism like Charlotte Flair. She's got a really interesting voice, and she's got a really interesting hold on her character. She knows who her character is, and she's working within those limits. She's a little bit of Regina George from Mean Girls.
Yeah.
She's a little bit Ted DiBiase. She's a little, she's got a little bit of everything, and she's really enjoyable to want to hate. Mm-hmm. But she's ultra talented in that ring, and she's just getting better every time. So I can't wait to see what she does here.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I have to agree 100% with that. So, yeah, the battle of two gimmicks here. Two people that know their characters very, very well. Got to say, I do love the sleeping elbow drop, by the way, from Wendy Choo. One of my personal faves. Astrid, you said that you thought Tiffany Straton could be taking a victory here.
Yeah, definitely. I think Tiffany's the one here.
Ed?
Yeah, Tiffany Straton.
I'm going to go the same. I don't mean for us all to go the same. I almost wanted to go Wendy just to be controversial, but I can't do it. It's not in my nature. But I've got to say very quickly, Southern Pro, got to say, agree there. And Ed said he loved it in the comments as well. Drew Gulak would be perfect for Diamond Mine. That's the one right there. The man that stands backstage. He fouled as an announcer, fouled as a ring announcer, fouled as a referee and assistant GM. He would fit Diamond Mine like a hand in a glove. He would be perfect for that. So good shout on that one there. Jeff Samuel in the house as well. We've given some money in the bank picks there. So thank you, Jeff, on that one there. Also, we've got Jason Michael in the house says, got Tiffany winning, but do we get a surprise for the men's money in the bank? I mean, we look to still have a surprise for the men's money in the bank, but certainly we don't know what it's going to be at this particular point.
Yeah. I mean, we hear a lot about Kevin Owens. We hear a lot about, I throw out Brock Lesnar because the dude's got limited dates. But I just love the idea of Brock holding a thing over Roman's head and being like, I can get you whenever I want.
Yeah. It's certainly a fun idea, isn't it? And obviously, here we got mentioned with Randy Samir saying about got Tiffany and doing like Cesaro's AEW theme tune. Oh, it feels a bit toxic here to talk about AEW on an NXT stream, doesn't it? What do we think of it? Astrid, we'll start with you.
I think it's okay for me. I got to listen to it one more time at least, but it's been fun when I listened to it the first time around at least.
I've yet to hear it. Unfortunately, I don't watch AEW much.
There you go.
I've yet to see Forbidden Door.
Oh, well, I tell you, you'll be in for a treat when we do. We do indeed. Honestly, it's
on my list of things to watch. Yeah,
it's a very good show. I will highly recommend it, and I've got to like this as well. Wendy Choo is a sleeper pick. Fantastic, yes. Southern Pro. You keep up with that. We'll have you in the comments all night there. Would love that to keep coming in there. Also, we've got Jones saying, imagine WWE having Cody come back at the pay-per-view. The whole thing has been the greatest work of all time.
It'd be fun. Yeah. Money in the Bank has a whole lot of open potential.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh goodness, here we got. We've now the spec. We've let the chat run wild already here. MGF turning up at Money in the Bank. If only it would keep us going wild with that. Chris Williams, Wendy Choo wins, and Tiffany gets called up on Raw. Is a prediction there. Could Tiffany work for someone like a Raw or SmackDown in the future direction? She's got a bit more time to give in NXT at this particular point. Ed, I'll start with you. What do you reckon with Tiffany on Raw?
I think she still needs a lot of improvement before you put her on that stage. More importantly, and this is hard to say for such a young competitor who hasn't proven so much, she's desperately needed in NXT right now because, again, like I said, they are desperately short on top-level female heels on NXT behind Mandy Rose. She is desperately needed, especially if Toxic Attraction is moving. Absolutely.
Astrid, do you feel the same?
Yeah, I definitely I've enjoyed her so far, and I know she has improved a lot, but I think she still has more to learn. And it would be nice, like Ed was saying, like we need heels in NXT at the moment, especially if we have somebody like maybe Roxanne be champion soon. So it'll be interesting to have her be in the lineup after Mandy as well to get a title shot.
Absolutely, indeed, there. Absolutely. I have to agree with both of them there. I do agree wholeheartedly. Christopher saying, "What's up? I hope you're doing well." And he also says that would also give her time. Randy says SCW we're going to fight. Must be WWE 2K22 online. I can't see any other way that would be possible. Yeah, fantastic stuff indeed. I think we're ready to move on to our next match. It's what's been described as Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen hosting a Bash Special barbecue session. Oh, yes, my thing of the night here. But will Pretty Deadly crash the party, Ed?
Yeah, I mean, if you read Wikipedia says that they're having a match. So, yeah, I mean, they have to. We have to have a food fight. It's WWE. There's only so many things that, like, WWE tropes that we can break even in NXT. So you've got a special around the summertime. Money in the Bank's not going to have a food fight, so you got to kind of do it on NXT. So I could wholeheartedly see Pretty Deadly getting absolutely wrecked with mustard and ketchup and all the trimmings all over those beautiful clothes that they have.
God, can you imagine ketchup all over the blonde hair? Astrid, tell me about this food fight. How's it going to go down?
Oh, geez. I feel like it's going to be a terrible mess to clean up afterwards, and I feel bad for whoever has to be honest. But yeah, I didn't think something like this was going to happen. I just saw, like you said, in the website, they had the exclusive, digital exclusive with them saying this. I just thought the title match was already official, but like you said, we haven't seen a lot of coverage for certain matches, and the socials or even the website too, which is surprising. But yeah, just thinking about this is either gonna end up being like a food fight and then maybe a match, or maybe a match wherever this party's supposed to be at, because we don't know where they're gonna have it at either.
That's very true. It could always be backstage. There's no guarantee. Could be the whole roster there for all we know, getting their hot dogs, getting the burgers in. Pretty Deadly interrupt the party, and then, yes, boy, they get covered in food. But we'll have to wait and see how it will go down. Like we say, long term, we imagine a match here, probably for those NXT UK Tag Team titles. Pretty Deadly are former NXT UK Tag Team champions. Those titles are gorgeous, so I want to see them more on NXT TV.
Yeah. Steve, you're from the UK. Maybe you can explain it to me. What's the yes boy thing? I don't get Pretty Deadly, so I'm often down on them. Can you explain to me what this yes boy thing is? Because I don't know.
It's a knock-on of a TV series, a bit like we have an area called Chelsea, and we have reality television. So I hope I'm not breaking up at this second, but like with a sort of reality TV you'll have in America, stuff like Big Brother, or I don't know, trying to think of something like The Bachelor, stuff like that. We have where it's like acting like a soap, where real people are kind of in fixed storylines. It's kind of like WWE, but they're very posh, and they're sort of got their expensive suits, and they've all got like famous rich families and stuff like that. And those sort of it's kind of a knock-on effect of those people. It's kind of like a play on it, like we're pretty boys, we're from that sort of area, we talk a bit posh, so that's where kind of it comes out with like the yes boy. It's a whole gimmick style thing. They've made it work really, really well in NXT UK. The transition to the States is tougher, but obviously they quickly became NXT Tag Team Champions. They have fallen off the radar a little bit since, but fingers crossed for them. I mean, I didn't see so much of them in NXT UK purely because I have fallen off for the radar a little bit of that brand. I just not got the time to watch it. But what I would say is, of what I've seen them, there is potential there, and I do hope that they can connect with an audience later down the line. But it's hard to really say. But they kind of, I suppose, the best way of putting it, like Tony D'Angelo is a stereotype of like the Chicago mob. If you go with like, I'm watching classic WCW at the minute, but like a Big Vito or something like that is a very sort of like New York gangster kind of. It's that very much stereotype style character. So hopefully in time it can connect a bit better.
Like I said, it was just a weird trade. Like they came over and they have this phrase, and I'm like, I don't get it. Like their in-ring work is fantastic. I love watching them wrestle, but like I just wanted more about like who they are and how they work and what it all means to get more interested in them, because I want them there for the long term, because they're really talented and they're fun to listen to. I just wanted to understand it more.
I understand that, but maybe a video package or something like that would have been fun. It would have been. I mean, Wade Barrett's just been to the UK. Hopefully, they could have filmed some stuff for Pretty Deadly in the UK at the same time. That would be a great fit, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Wade Barrett has been fantastic on NXT in that commentary position. I thought with losing Beth that they were going to lose a lot. They haven't. They haven't missed a beat, which is Wade and Vic. They are such a good team.
I have to agree. I think Wade Barrett has been tremendous on there. And the fact that Vic Joseph has to remind him every week to calm down when Toxic Attraction come out has always been a particular highlight. I don't know what you're suggesting there, Astrid. Ed's definitely looking around. Well, we'll go to our chat in the meantime, just quickly before we go on to what I believe is the main event. So we've got left. We've gone through 7 matches already in the time. We've flown through this. Jack Kane's in here, says happy 4th of July. And chat and your friends that talking. Maybe I've misread that a little bit, but I don't quite get it. But Jack, hope you're doing well anyway. It's great to have you on board. We've got 7 Pro Wrestling. Seth Rollins wins Money in the Bank. Cody versus Roman Mania. Seth cashes in, pins Cody, book it. Love it. Think it's a great idea there. James Mallory. Hope I've got it right.
Mallory.
Tiffany winning. Mate, that'd be better. Thank you, Ed. Always there to back me up when I need it. Tiffany winning here. Hayes winning. What's up, guys? And it says, call up Grayson Waller to Raw. Could be a duo of Theory and Noyan Hill. What do you reckon? That as a duo could be fun.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
I still want to see more of Grayson Waller with Tiffany Straton. Like I love the pair of them together as these like annoying friends who think they're the only thing going on and hate everybody else around them, and can kind of like mix them in and out of each other's storylines without having to be like in love with each other. Think it works perfectly.
It really, really does there. Astrid, have you enjoyed that chemistry as well?
Yeah, I like it because I feel like usually when there's a male and female on screen, it usually goes the romantic way. It's kind of weird when it goes a friendship or just kind of like an alliance. Doesn't have to be like they're actually friends. So it's nice to see them being aligned in a way where they're actually being romantically involved, which I think is fresh for NXT especially too.
Absolutely, indeed. There, Southern Pro Wrestling it with a great show. If only Breezango was still in WWE, what a feud that would have been.
Oh, that would have been so great. Oh,
I can say right now, he loves Southern Pro Wrestling. Does his Underground Temple, like WWE 2K stuff. Do that booking, book it for a show for us. That would be awesome to see. Say that we've personally requested it.
And Breezango isn't necessarily like, people forget, while they were released, neither one of them are on bad terms with the company. I could totally see both of them coming back. If the right things came along, especially on short-term deals in NXT, I could see them coming back for a match or two.
Absolutely, indeed. There. And just going to jump ahead of the comments, just going back to Pretty Deadly very quickly. A couple of TV shows that may fill you in if you want to spend time looking on YouTube just to look this stuff up. The Only Way is Essex is Pretty Deadly. Made in Chelsea is also Pretty Deadly. That is pretty much your stereotypes of where to find them from. And Ed's straight there with the pen and the pencil there. Definitely to find those out there for you. And we quickly go back to the comments as well. James is saying Pretty Deadly is like if Al is angry and his daughter is dating Married with Children. Oh, that's a good throwback reference there. Married with Children. Used to enjoy that back in the day.
That one I get. That one I get. It's mostly the Yes Boy thing that I just didn't understand.
Yeah. Fair play to you. Randy Sampson says, got Cree Brothers winning. Also by Ivy Nile costing Roderick. I like that idea. Could be fun if Ivy was the one to cost Roddy Strong the match. Just kick him out of the group altogether. And also, Breezango Max Dupree being shouted out here. Max Dupree is Renee Dupree. If only. Renee Dupree, we're wrestling a lot in Japan at the minute, guys. Is where you can
Renee Dupree is doing great work, by the way. I mean,
he is.
That dude is jacked all of a sudden too. Don't forget that. That dude is. I love the stuff that he's got going on.
Absolutely. Does a great podcast weekly as well to check out as well. It's Cafe de Renee, if I'm not mistaken, available on YouTube. But we're coming to the point of the main event session. It's why we're here. It's why probably you're here because, oh my goodness, I can tell you what, when this first was announced, I thought to myself, I wasn't sure I'd be into it. But the promo work last week on NXT, I'm hooked, line and sinker. Cameron Grimes knocked it out of the park, saying the traditional Bron Breakker, look, this was your second choice. You know, WWE wasn't what you wanted. You want to be a football player. Then you said, call up the dad, get me in WWE. And saying that his dad didn't have heart. That's why he wasn't a world champion. Why he was stuck like in the Steiner brothers all those years. Cameron Grimes saying, look, if you lose this title, you go to Raw. You can go to SmackDown. You could be on SummerSlam. I don't have this backup plan. It's not there for me. I lost the North American Championship. I got my chips, and I went all in. And then, of course, Bron Breakker lost his temper, as he usually does. Goes perfect to fit the character after the Joe Gacy feud as well. And obviously that references him with his father. Goes running into the turnbuckle. The turnbuckle goes off. Cameron Grimes saying, look, I might not have been able to beat you at 100%, but you're not 100% anymore. Astrid, how cool was this on Tuesday?
I just like you, I was thinking, I was like, I don't know how to feel about this match yet, and then this promo just sold it for me. And just that 1 week, I feel like this whole build up, but this is the 1 week that felt the most important to it. And you know that little hint of like, you don't know if Cameron's gonna turn heel either, and like where he was just sitting beside Bron after he did this, just incredible. Just like, I'm here, like I'm behind you, and I'm creeping up on you and creeping up on the championship. So that was interesting to see. And like his words, like, this is your second choice. He was like, this was your backup. I don't have a backup. And like we were talking about NXT this week, maybe it'll hint of like Bron going to SummerSlam with the way he mentioned in the promo too. So that's interesting to think about as well. But yeah, this promo, it's always what sold me on the match and makes me want to watch it more than anything that happened in between everything. But yeah, this promo was it for me.
Absolutely, Ed. I mean, it was electric to say the very least.
Yeah, like when this first match got introduced, I was like, all right, cool, I'm into this. I liked it because it was Cameron Grimes being that guy who's down in the dumps. He lost, he won his championship only to lose it like right away. And he's like, I don't know. I don't want anybody's pity. And Bron Breakker's like, no, dude, you're so talented. You can do anything you want to do. And then he comes out and he goes ahead and he's like, you know what, Bron, you're right. I can do anything I want to do. And I want your title. I want to be the man in this place. And then they seem to forget the thing for like 2 weeks. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm still feeling this. And then like you said, that promo from Cameron Grimes to Bron Breakker, just tearing him down in such a unique way. And it's different from the whole, like, oh, your dad got you into it. No, there were specific beats that he hit to be like, this is why, and this is why, and this is why. Just such a good job. And again, this is the work of having guys like Shawn Michaels, having the guys like Road Dogg, having Steve Corino down there, being able to help you craft a promo to hit certain spots, not to write your promo for you, but to help you find the needles that are going to hit just the right spot. Because if anybody could cut a promo like this, it's Shawn and Steve Corino. Those two guys know exactly how to tear an opponent down with only using their words. I can't wait for this.
It's going to be incredible. And you make some great points there, the great work and the great coaches they've got backstage there that can help them, not just with in-ring work, but with the promo work as well to establish those characters. And Astrid mentioned it a minute ago, we don't know if Cameron Grimes is going to turn heel. This is also the other fascinating part about this. And Ed, like you said there, the big win at WrestleMania, the fact it was done, such an emotional place for him, only for, it to be torn away from him so quickly. What happens from Cameron Grimes if he loses this match? Does he have to go a full-on heel?
See, that's the problem with this match. Like, the problem with this match comes is, like, while Bron Breakker has everything to gain with if he loses, if he's not being called up and he loses, I don't know what you do with Bron Breakker going forward. Whereas, like, with Cameron Grimes, if he loses, you turn him heel, full heel, and you just go full TNA with him. You have him go into that spiral and just have him be an absolute menace heel, which is fine. But what do you do with Bron Breakker if he loses is my bigger question.
Raw, SmackDown, SummerSlam, those are the places for Bron Breakker. NXT would have no use for him anymore.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Like, so if you take away Raw and SmackDown and you say that the main roster's not, if you say he's not main roster ready, you can't have him lose this match. Because if he's not ready for the main roster right now, there's no way he can lose this match and still be of a viable use to NXT going forward without a significant change to his character.
It's an excellent point. And does that confirm then the prediction, Astrid? Does it mean that Bron Breakker retains here?
I feel like he has to in a way, because what else do you have going for him if he loses though? It's just there's nothing else for him, it seems like. And maybe at least you can build up somebody to, or even have Apollo face him for the next one perhaps, or build up somebody else to go against him. But other than that, if he's not going to the main roster, what else does he have going for himself here?
I totally agree. And I do think that Apollo match will be for the NXT Championship. And I think the big story here, Ed said there, it is the story is all for Cameron Grimes to lose this match. What happens to him next? Bron Breakker can just carry on doing what he's doing with another opponent. Although that could be a more fascinating question, I don't think it's the question we're going to get asked. And as Ed said there, with Cameron Grimes there, he can go full on T and they can go on full on in this spiral. And it could be an interesting new character change to see. And for me, I think Cameron Grimes could go to another level in NXT that we haven't seen before.
Yeah, absolutely. NXT has made it so that the most predictable card that they could put together, as proven by us, who, with the exception of me taking a flyer on Zion Quinn, this card is super predictable, yet every match on this card is something I'm interested in watching how it plays out, even though I think I know how they're all going to win.
Absolutely. And you never know, we might find a way where they will shock us and do something as a big swerve here and there. And like we've seen with Great American Bashers before, it has crowned new champions. Keith Lee, of course, famously spoiled on Instagram, of course. That's
by Sangha.
He's back now, thankfully, for his own sakes. But of course, he could have been with Veer right now. But it's interesting how it's going to play out. But I think we're all going for Bron Breakker then.
No, I'm taking Cameron Grimes. I'm absolutely taking Cameron Grimes. Everything said about, because the caveat to Bron Breakker needing to win this match is if he's not ready to go to Raw, if he's not ready to go to SmackDown. He's 1,000% ready for the main roster. We've seen it with him when they brought him up with Ciampa and did those things. There's nothing that he can learn in NXT that they're going to be able to teach him that he can't learn on the road. He's a competent in-ring competitor. He's Goldberg, but he has a little bit bigger of a gas tank. Where Goldberg can only realistically go maybe 10 minutes, Breakker can still do 15 to 20. You can teach him more about the in-ring stuff on the road. There's no reason he can't be, especially with the void of baby faces right now for guys like Roman Reigns. Top level baby faces are in need when you have Cody Rhodes on the shelf, when you have Randy Orton on the shelf. You could use another top level baby face. I think Cameron Grimes win this, and he signaled to us already that Bron Breakker's head is the main roster.
Fascinating. I am that actually happening. For me personally, I do think it's SummerSlam weekend that Bron Breakker will lose this championship. That's if I had to predict right now, but certainly there's some very compelling arguments from Ed there. Astrid, would you agree?
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see him in the main roster. People can easily end up liking him, so you never know. It's just one of those things that you have to try with him and give him that try on the main roster, see how it goes. And you said maybe it's SummerSlam is the time. That's why they just gave us that hint during the promo.
But remember, we all keep talking about a potential SummerSlam show. This is the SummerSlam show because SummerSlam's in 4 weeks. Everybody keeps forgetting SummerSlam's not the end of August this year. It's the last weekend in July. There is not going to be a big... I don't think we're getting a takeover-style NXT show in Nashville. So I think this is... If we're doing something in late July with Bron Breakker losing the championship, it probably happens here.
Interesting. It's definitely something to keep in mind there. The chat is going absolutely wild. So we are going to have to go and dive in there if you don't mind right now. Southern Pro Wrestling saying Max Dupree should add Pretty Deadly to his maximum male models. Loving that suggestion.
No, I've said this a couple of times. The Maxim male models, I guarantee you was the place where Fabian Eichner's new character, Giovanni Vinci, was going to be heading, until he said, I'm not going to do that gimmick up on Raw. They're like, fine, you don't have to go to Raw or SmackDown, but guess what? You're still doing the gimmick.
Yeah, God, it's one of the worst entrances I think I've ever seen. Astrid, are you a fan of the new Giovanni Vinci character?
I'm still debating how I feel about it, to be honest. It's just weird to see, like I tell every week, it's weird to see Fabian smile the way he does on the way to the ring. I'm not used to that still. And like, I guess the difference is like with the entrances, but other than that, his wrestling is still the same to me. So I'm enjoying that part of it. But I just like the entrance is the part I'm getting used to more than anything right now.
Dude almost killed Jiro this week. It was fantastic.
To be fair, I think in ring he's a phenomenal talent. I'd still like to see him with Imperium, if I'm brutally honest. But hey, I guess we can't all get everything we want here. But Randy Sam says, SCW, why can't you be a wrestler? That promo was fire. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Unfortunately, I'm not used to taking bumps. That's my real problem. If I could take a bump, maybe we could have a discussion there. But yeah, I that's probably one of the big reasons why. Jonesy here is saying that great innovation on Cameron Grimes in 2022. I think Bron Breakker to win. Not sure who he will face. Shame we never got the Gunther versus what I think he meant there, the Breakker versus Gunther match. We did on a throwaway NXT episode just before Gunther got called up. So if you've not seen that, go and check that out. But I still think that when Carmelo Hayes drops the North American Championship, that could be the big match for Bron Breakker, that he could drop the championship to Carmelo.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's so many different, there isn't a ton of obvious ones, but there's still Apollo Crews says he wants that title. You have Santos Escobar sitting there with not much to do, especially with Tony D'Angelo on the shelf. I could see Santos getting another run at Bron Breakker again. Joe Gacy's always hanging around there. You could always run Joe Gacy again if needed. There's a bunch of different people that you could run at Bron Breakker if necessary.
Absolutely. Do we feel that it's Zach Gibson and James Drake under those dyad gimmicks?
Mm-hmm.
Astrid called it. Astrid said it to me, and it took me a while to catch on. But the promo that he gave where he was talking to Dyad, and he was talking to them about, you guys were champions once, but you've fallen by the wayside. So you were about to walk away from it all, from everything together and go on your own separate ways. And the last time we saw GYV, they did a digital exclusive where Zach Gibson broke up Grizzled Young Veterans.
All right. Wow.
There was one digital exclusive that never got mentioned again. And I think that was the week after they saw that Sean was like, no, we're going to put him with Gacy. Don't remind everybody about that.
Interesting. Astrid, good shout. And I haven't seen that clip. So that's a very fascinating information to know there. So detective work being done here by NXT for you there. Kenneth Paul saying that I got Bron winning, but don't get mad at me, guys. But Grams reminds me so much of a young Ted DiBiase, how he carries himself with a face expression and mic skills. Well, Ted DiBiase did get a shout in that promo as well, didn't he?
Yeah, and I mean, he worked with Ted DiBiase for, what was it, 6 months? That LA Knight, Ted DiBiase, Cameron Grimes stuff. So, no, it makes perfect sense that he, channels a little bit of Ted DiBiase.
Indeed. Kenneth goes on to say that Sanga gets called by Sean Rossap. I'm hearing, so don't change it. Haha. Veer with Sanga on Raw, destroying the roster. What could have been for Sanga? But he's doing his own thing. He seems quite happy in NXT right now. Hopefully, he can continue to get back on the road and up the ladder in NXT. Southern Pro Wrestling, I want to see an Evolution type Austin Theory and Bron Breakker. What's your thoughts of this, Astrid? It seems like a cool looking stable.
Yeah, it sounds like cool names to bring up, and it is nice to see somebody from NXT get people like Randy at the moment and Cody to be those teachers for them, like Randy had back in the day in Evolution as well. So it'll be interesting to see them in some kind of stables. But the only one I kind of feel like it doesn't belong a lot is Austin, because I feel like Austin probably wouldn't be in a stable anytime soon. I feel he'd rather make a name for himself and be the obnoxious self that he's being so far. But if you think about it as a whole, it doesn't sound like a bad idea.
I would replace 2 names in that stable. I would replace Cody with Riddle, and I would replace Bron Breakker with Grayson Waller, and then it works perfectly.
Oh, interesting. Why are those changes in particular?
I think if you're going to do this, you can't have the mix of baby faces and heels the way you have them. So I think what you do is I think Cody is going to be a man on his own for a while, and Randy's already working with Riddle, so it makes more sense to keep Riddle in that. And you can flip Randy and Riddle to the heel side. And if you're going to flip them, you keep the last person a heel as opposed to a baby face. And I think at that point, you bring in a Grayson Waller, I think fits a lot better with the Austin Theory as a tag team guy.
Certainly interesting stuff indeed there. Last 4 comments, then we shall wrap things up for everybody here. Ed Price can be right if Grams does win. Bron could be that 8th entry in Money in the Bank and winning. If only the Great American Bash was not on Tuesday and was actually tonight, I would say that would be a potential. But unfortunately, that is the little curveball in that one. But Bron, I mean,
he could still be the 8th guy. Like, there's nothing saying he can't, because we were on a program last night and we were talking about Money in the Bank. The Money in the Bank contract can be used on any championship. It does not specify. The same thing with the Rumble when Charlotte broke the rules of the Rumble and challenged Rhea Ripley. There's nothing saying that 8th and final missing member couldn't be an NXT roster guy like a Bron Breakker.
Absolutely. Be interesting. Astrid, would you be down for Bron Breakker and Money in the Bank?
I think it would be a cool idea because I feel like we haven't had anybody from NXT kind of mix it up with anybody from the main roster recently, because usually we get like a hint here and there of somebody doing something and then coming back down, and we haven't had that in quite a while. And I was always hoping, like with the Rumble, for example, with the Rumble I expected at least 1 or 2 girls from NXT to show up in the Rumble when they first said it, and it didn't happen. So I kind of missed that this year. So I missed that point of like the NXT presence in the main roster. And I think it would be cool because if somebody does like Bron Breakker, for example, in the match, it could incite them to watch NXT after seeing his character in the pay-per-view.
Absolutely, yeah. Fantastic points made there indeed there. And we've got Southern Pro Wrestling saying Cameron Grimes, a.k.a. Trevor Lee, peak PWG. I've not seen a lot of PWG, but I think that certainly would be what could be a direction maybe we could be heading in. We've also got James is saying that I got Bron Breakker winning. Maybe someone like Carmelo Hayes could have a feud, add both titles on the line. An interesting philosophy that could go down there, Astrid.
Oh, I would love to see something like this. I would love to see Carmelo more having 2 championships again. I mean, he did it not too long ago, and it didn't last long, but I would like to see this again.
Would be interesting. Yeah. What about you, Ed?
I mean, I'm never going to say that Carmelo Hayes. I watched him for years as Christian Casanova on the Northeast indie scene. So that dude can do anything and everything. So anytime somebody says, hey, I have a cool idea for him, I'm all in for it. I don't care what the idea is, as long as it's Carmelo Hayes doing fun stuff. That's
what we want to see, ultimately, end of the day. It's Pizarro 2.0. He has potential. He's got an award-winning smile as well with that entrance. James also goes on to say anything can happen in wrestling. Who would have thought that Punk would come back and Cody would be back in WWE and Stone Cold Wrestling? Anything can happen. Never say never on anything. James also asking, is Kevin Owens' injury a true story? Ed, Astrid, do you know a bit more about this?
I've not heard anything about it. Last I heard, he was at SmackDown tonight for the taping or for the show. So, but then again, like I said, I'm not super in the know, but I'm as far as I know, he should be behind the backstage at SmackDown tonight.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything about this either.
He's the rumored 8th competitor for the men's Money in the Bank ladder match.
That's who I'd like to see in the place, because if it was meant to be him and Ezekiel was on Raw, so he's clearly or Elbro or whatever name he's got, of these other brothers, Elias. It was going to be KO in that spot. I couldn't see it being anyone else. But Jonesy saying, great stream, really enjoyed it. Please, you enjoyed it, Jonesy. Thanks for checking it out. Jack saying he's got Bron winning. He's got Grayson Waller to win the North American Championship. And also Jack saying that the Creed brothers winning as well. Last two, it could be the Randy Orton of the stable, with Triple H turning on Orton like storyline. Orton turning on Theory. Theory wins the WWE title. Love that bit of fantasy booking. That is great stuff indeed. Southern Pro then saying that same goes with the whole WWE title. Gotta love the idea of fantasy booking there. Elrod is the name that I was missing there. Where is Damien Sandow? I wish we knew. But that's pretty much everything for the stream there. I want to say a big thank you to Astrid and to Ed that has been joining us. Please plug yourselves. Let everyone know where you are on socials and on YouTube as well, so they can go and give you a follow and a subscribe. Astrid, start with yourself.
My Twitter is the same as here, Astrid Pizarro. And more than anything, I'm part of the Love Wrestling CA, so you can follow their socials and their YouTube channel. That's where I have my interviews series, Astrid Asks, more than anything. And usually when we go live, like for example, for NXT, we're on Twitch. So twitch.com/LoveWrestlingCA will be where to find us. The other thing that I do on the weekends, I do the NXT 2.0 NXT UK Women's review for Women's Wrestling Talk. So they post that on the weekends for me. So that's the other thing I do aside from Love Wrestling.
Fantastic. Ed?
Yeah, you can catch me on Twitter at edfries12584. You can catch me moderating the Tom Collihue Twitch and YouTube streams when he goes live, including his Money in the Bank live stream tomorrow night and his SmackDown live stream tonight. But other than that, you can always catch me on Tuesday nights at NXT as we go live on twitch.tv/LoveWrestlingCA.
Absolutely. And I highly recommend to go and do so, because these two, as you can see, they know what they are talking about. They do fantastic content, so make sure to go and support them, follow them, go and subscribe to Love Wrestling. And also they're featured in a recent video of myself as well. What is the greatest Money in the Bank ladder match of all time? If you haven't seen it, then please do go and check out. It was a lot of fun to put it together, and you can hear all three of us what we think is the best Money in the Bank ladder match of all time. But we're going to say enjoy the Great American Bash on Tuesday. Thanks everyone for checking out. If you've enjoyed this video, then please do hit a like as well. It does help with the algorithms on YouTube. Subscribe if it's your first time watching, and if you haven't subscribed and you've watched before, what are you waiting for? So a video is released. So make sure to subscribe, like, share with a friend, do all the good stuff, and we'll see you very, very soon here on SCW. Thanks for watching and enjoy the Great American Bash.